So I'm looking at this Longhorn mannequin here, and currently it'll stick out of the wall about 45-46 inches, and that is just way too big for my client's house and where they're gonna put it. They want it to be about that deep instead, which is 32 inches or so. And plus it'll make it way easier to fit this out of doors. Just way easier to manage if it's just a little bit shorter. It doesn't stick out of the wall as much, right? I've marked on here, it's this lower cut where I need to cut it, and then I need to replace the backboard. I'm just gonna have to do some work to it. This thing already comes in 2 pieces, but unfortunately it's not the right 2 pieces. This Sawzall should work. Let's see how it goes. Obviously I don't have this perfectly lined up correctly because I'm using a Sawzall. A chainsaw would be nice, but I don't have one. Let me see. Gonna have to get a little more creative here. I cut a wedge so that I could get that Sawzall even deeper into the cutting area. And now I have like a grip that I can pry these 2 things apart with. Now this is the back side. I wanted to use this backboard and put it on the new back of the mannequin. I feel like that might be kind of a pain. It'll probably be fine. I'm just gonna start cutting on this part too. I got foam dust in my eye. Ugh. Oh my god. Okay, got the backboard off though. As you can see, it wasn't a clean cut. It's a little bit choppy, but that doesn't really matter right now. I'll fix that later. And obviously now the backboard is too big, so I'm gonna cut off the excess here. In order to get the line marked out where I need to cut, I'm using spray paint to go along the edges, and again, it doesn't matter if I get paint on the form or anything like that. So now as I remove this top portion, you can see I have more of a clear line of where I need to cut. And so I thought I could get away with just using this jigsaw to cut it, but about halfway through cutting, the jigsaw blade broke. It literally snapped in 2 pieces, so I just finished cutting with the Sawzall. Now I just have to attach this top piece back to the backboard, so I'm going to screw these 2 pieces together. Then I'm going to mix up some foam. This is the same foam that is used to create these mannequins, so I'm going to mix up this 2-part polyurethane. It's equal parts A and B. This polyurethane foam that I'm mixing up, it's an expanding foam, so when I pour it into this void between the backboard and the top portion of the mannequin, it will expand to fill the whole void. And the foam also expanded outside of the void, so I'm going to chop off and sand off the excess. And here's what the mannequin looks like completely back together. And now we are almost ready for the fun part, putting the skin on the mannequin, but first we're going to do a few more steps to get this mannequin prepped. I'm adding a replacement nose. This one is from Lone Star Noses. And then here are these fabulous Longhorn horns added onto the mannequin as well, along with a bunch of clay. Now to add the eyes, these are glass eyes, and I'm just going to use clay to sculpt them in and get that eye shape. Almost ready for the hide to go on now, and so I'm going to smother this whole form in glue. The glue I'm using here is Pro 1 Hide Paste, and the bucket lid I'm using is in my Amazon, linked in one of my links somewhere. But now we are ready for the hide to go on the mannequin, and this is what it looks like right after I kind of sort of set it in place. Now it's just a matter of adjusting and taxiing the skin around, including around the eyes, nose, ears. I'm actually using these Velcro straps to position these ears and let them set so that they don't fall down while I'm still working on it. These will be taken off just momentarily. And this hide was unfortunately cut down the back, so now I'm just going to spend, well, literally a few hours sewing the back and sewing this back together. Now that all the skin's lined up and the back is sewn, I'm going to staple the hide to the back of the mannequin. And then I'm going to cut off the excess hide on the back. Then I went and just brushed out the hair just so I can see what I'm working with here. And this is what it looks like after I brushed it out, and the hair was just still really wet. So I took a blow dryer to it. After drying the hair, you can really see what color this cow was, like with all the pretty oranges and browns. But this mount still has to dry for a couple weeks before it can be painted and finished. So I'm just going to fast forward until this mount is completely dry. The quote, finish work is the final step, so almost done. This skin is dry, and so I'm going to go through with a wire brush and brush off any dried skin or glue or any debris on the skin that I'm going to paint. And then this is just lacquer thinner. I'm just cleaning off the area and prepping it for paint. But before I paint, I'm going to add some epoxy sculpt and use this as filler in between a few areas. Like, for example, here on the nose where the skin meets that plastic part. It will create just a more blended look, and also where the skin meets that glass eye. There's just a little bit of a gap, so we're going to fill that in. I'm going to use this stuff called Mold Builder. It's just a liquid latex, and I'm going to put it on the eye as a mask, so when I paint, I don't get paint on the majority of the eyeball. This stuff dries pretty much clear, and I can paint right over it, and there's no issue. I will have to clean up the excess around the eyes, though, like where there's that slight gap between the mask and the skin. I'm going to jump back to the nose real quick, and as you can see, I did like a red wash over the nose to fill in those cracks, and then I'm rebuilding the nodules and adding more texture back to this nose, give it more of a fuller look and less of a dried skin look. And here's the cow ready to be painted. I paint everything with an airbrush here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and this is what it looks like after it's been painted. Now I need to peel off that mask that I applied earlier, and this is the satisfying part. And then I just take a small tool and chip away that excess paint that got on the glass in between the mask and the skin. And now, of course, the nose is all painted up too, and I could leave it like this, but I like giving it more of like a wet look, a shiny look, so I'm going through and I'm going to put a couple coats of spray gloss on the nose. Now we're almost done. I just went through and cleaned up a few other areas, brushed them out, and this is the completed Longhorn mount. This cow had some amazing coloring, super pretty brindle color, and this cow was actually so old it was somebody's pet. And so I'm super happy that I was able to do the work to bring it back to life, and they could hang it in their home forever. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next mount.